Vishnu Nilantam Sarvatomukham Narasimham Bhishanam Bhadram Nityam Nityam Namamyam Narasimha Narasimha Jai Jai Narasimha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare
Please zoom the camera on and introduce the devotees. Some of the names I know, but some of the back we can't see them. Gopal, introduce everybody. Can't hear you all.
Dhruva. Hare Krishna, my name is Gopal Chandra. Hare Krishna, my name is Parth. Hare Krishna, my name is Tulsi Gopi. Hare Krishna, my name is Dev. Hare Krishna, my name is Hasi. Hare Krishna, my name is Radhika. Hare Krishna, my name is Jiyarvashi. Hare Krishna, my name is Srilakshmi. Hare Krishna, my name is Aditi. Hare Krishna, my name is Yuvan Aditya.
What? Who's at the back of Gopal? Can't see her.
Aditya, Yuvan Aditya.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Wonderful Kirtan. So melodious and so from the heart. I'm sure Radharani would have been pleased, and blessings must have already poured in for Shamadesh through you all. Thank you very much. A big Hare Krishna mantra from all of us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
See you all in the evening. Hare Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Satyanath.
Ramakrishna Prabhu is joined, right?
Yes,
Right,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Prabhu.
Yes. Okay. Converts. He's not in focus. Hare Krishna. Welcome, Ramakrishna Prabhu, Denrup now.
Hare
And
Krishna.
you are back from the most blissful spiritual journey. I think after a long time you took a 1 month leave. Huh? I think your
Yes,
boss has been very kind to you. so you are full of energy to preach and also to give the nectar of the dhams. So I don't need to introduce you, but we are very fortunate to have a very dear godbrother so fixed up in Krishna consciousness to serve Guru Maharaj among us today to give us drishti on Radhastami Day for all of you all. And we'd like to pray for him, Sachi Mataji, and Alankrit and his wife for their best future and spiritual life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Ram. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Seeking your kind blessings and blessings of my dear Siksha Guru, His Grace, Shurka Krishna Prabhu. Today, I would like to render a small service in the association of wonderful assembly of Shamadesh devotees here. So we would, I see wonderful assembly of all the names that I can see on the display, but not really their beautiful faces, which I really like to see. So it's my humble request, if the devotees can keep their video cameras on, it'll be a great help, so that I will be also equally inspired by being in your association. Thank you very much. Some of you are merciful enough to appear. In fact, on the online sessions, this is really sometimes a challenge for many of the speakers. They do not know whether they're actually speaking to the people or speaking to some frames. Anyway, you're giving us this opportunity and your blessing, so I consider this. Thank you very much. I welcome very warmly on this association today on the most auspicious Sri Sri Radhastami. Sri Sri Radhastami Maha Utsava ki Jai.
Sure.
So I would like to begin little prayers. So those of you who would like to join in your own locations, you can kindly do so. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Sri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Vignanachan Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagya ki jai, Upasthita Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande, Hari 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 Bo. Hare Krishna. So it's a great opportunity today to be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam. I have been allocated to speak on the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 6, text 12 to 16. So there's a very interesting discussion that's being referred here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. First of all, let me ask all of you that, am I audible to you? Is my voice clear? Thank you. And today, can I speak in English if that is permitted?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you so much. So we will be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, the second canto, which is entitled as Cosmic Manifestation. And in that, we are going to discuss chapter number 6, which is Purusha Sukta confirmed. And in this, specifically, we are going to speak from verses number 2 to 12. So what we, this is from text number 12 to 16. In this chapter, basically, it's a discussion that's going on between Narada and Brahma. Narada being the son, Manasaputra of Brahma, the first living entity, the foremost of all the living beings, who directly appeared from the lotus navel of Lord Vishnu. So there is very interesting aspect. Brahma is giving him some responses to the questions that he had previously asked. So we will like to share with you some screens and then take you through the whole journey of what is the subject matter and why it is so important to hear this subject. Generally, the hearers are inclined to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, especially the Leela pastimes, be it childhood pastimes or the different incarnations, and how he protected the different devotees or killed the different demons, and then did establish certain principles, religious principles. This is generally the taste of the devotees. So among the devotees who are of two kinds. One is a rasagna, means one who wants to taste the essence, rasa, the mellows. The other one is a tattvagna, means one who wants to understand what is this all philosophy about? What is the real essence? What is this creation? Who created it? What is behind this creation? And so on. So Narada is an expert in both of this. And therefore, the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is basically speaking about the Tattva Gnana or Vijnana. So the questions asked are very pertinent. And in fact, the conversation is actually happening at the forest of Naimisharanya, where 88,000 sages headed by the Suta, who is speaking, and then Shaunaka, who is the head of all the Brahmanas in the Naimisharanya sage, in the forest. He is representing the sages and he's asking certain questions. And one of the such questions was, what is the cause of this creation? Or who is the cause of this creation? And how all the creation is supported by that cause? So when this question was raised, then Suta Goswami, who was addressing them, gives them a similar question was asked previously in a conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. Referring to that inquiry, furthermore, he says, O Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami is saying in that particular conversation, O Parikshit, a question what you have actually inquired is something that draws parallel to me when Narada asked the same to his father, Brahma. So within the Bhagavatam, we have conversations, and within those conversations, there are other references to the conversation. So the subject matter today is of the conversation between Narada and Brahma. This is just to bring your focus onto the Srimad Bhagavatam so that we understand. And we have this opportunity to discuss this amidst the wonderful assembly here in Shamadesh in today's morning Mangla program. So I will share with you some screen and then we can see how we go from there. I hope all of you are able to see my screen here.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. So this is Narada, the son of Brahma, inquiring his father, who is a supreme living intelligent being. In fact, he represents the intelligence potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And this conversation is very intimate. A son who is the representation of the mind of Lord Brahma and who is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to dispose or to distribute the wonderful knowledge about the transcendental science. That is the position of Lord Narada or Bhagavan Narada. Sometimes these personalities are called Bhagavan because they have the same kind of a disposition as that of the Lord towards all living entities. And therefore, they also have the access for all the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in rendering service to the entire humanity. So this question was asked because Brahma sometimes used to be in deep meditation. And at home, Narada would see that his father is in deep meditation. So that gave him a lot of curiosity. On whom is my father meditating? I could understand that he is the supreme living being, and through him, the entire creation takes place. So if he is actually meditating, what he wants to achieve by such a meditation, and what is the focus of such meditation, and what is the purpose of such meditation. So he inquires from his father. In the fifth chapter of the same canto, there is a question asked. It is actually concerning 6 questions. So we would go on with an inquiry of questions and answers in this discourse today. And so, as the parampara is said by Narada asking a question, if the audience in the session today have any questions, I would request them to be kindly merciful enough to put it on the chat box. And Sudha Harinam Prabhu would take up those questions and put it forward so that I can try to answer according to my limited capacity. So I would like to begin the session, kindly offering some prayers. All the assembly, please kindly bless me so that I get the right kind of words and intelligence to be able to express this very confidential knowledge and a very interesting subject matter with which every living entity in this creation must become aware of. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye nasthaprayishvabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama-sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki nigamakalpaktaror galitam phalam shukamukadamrutadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande aham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So as we were introducing the topic about the Brahma Narada Samvada, Narada being an exalted personality himself, having been empowered by the Supreme Lord, who appeared through the body of Brahmaji, and he makes a very wonderful inquiry, with his father being extremely surprised and astonished, upon whom my father, who is the supreme living being, fully intelligent, is focusing his attention upon. Therefore, he asks a question. Oh, my dear father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? Yadrupam yadadishtanam yata sristam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yatcha tat tattvam vada tattvataha. A very interesting proposition. Yad rupam, yad adhistham, two questions. Yad sristam, idam prabho, the third one. Yad samstam, yad param, four questions. Yatcha, the fifth one. Tat tattvam, what is that tattva, the absolute truth? Kindly express this. So today in our discussion, we will be focusing on what is that yatcha. The questions go accordingly. The first question of Narada was, what are the characteristics of this universe, Yad Rupam? And the answer for this comes in the 5th chapter, 14th verse. The elements, karma, kala, swabhava, jiva are not different from Vasudeva. Thus, universe is the form of Vasudeva in terms of the Rupam. So the universal form as well as the manifest gross uniform universe is also one of the forms of the Supreme Lord, which is external material form. Then the second question, the shelter of the universe, adhisthana, yad adhisthana. So answer for this lies in the 5th chapter, 15 and 16, and in the 6th chapter, 31. Narayana is the shelter. Narayana is the adhisthana of this entire creation. The third question was, Yat Sristam. What is this Sristam all about? What is this Sristi? Description of the creation of elements. Lord binds these elements and enters the universe. So even though different elements are created, they have to cooperate amongst each other. And therefore, the binding factor is the Supreme Lord. And he further inspires them by entering into the universe itself. The question 4, what are the ingredients? Yatcha, that is our subject matter also today. 6:1 to 18 describes, Lord is both the material and the effective cause of the universe. Text 23 to 30, Brahma substantiate from his own experience that the Supreme Lord is the material cause. And question 5, Where does it merge at destruction, yet samstham? And the answer, 639, in Lord Mahavishnu. And text 6, what does it have depend on, yat param? Sixth question. Text 1 and 5 and 6, 3 and 2, Narayana is that dependent personality. And there afterwards, we also find in the chapter 7, Brahma describes various incarnations and he establishes the superiority of the Bhagavan and requests Narada to expand and disseminate Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the background. When we read Srimad Bhagavatam, any particular verse, we must have a context to which we are referring to. So there was an inquiry also by Parikshit in the 4th chapter between 6 and 8 verses. What is Sarga and Visarga? And Sukadeva offers prayers to the Lord and answers by quoting Brahma Narada Samvada. So this is the context through which we are discussing. So we are basically discussing about the material and the effective cause of the universe in the chapter 6, verses between 1 to 18, of which today's verse will be from 12 to 18. So the response given by Lord Brahma to this is from verse number 12. Dharmasya mamatubhyam cha kumaranam bhavasya cha Vijnanasya cha sattvasya parasyatma parayanam. Also, the consciousness of that great personality is the abode of religious principles. Mine, yours, Lord Shiva's, and those of the 4 bachelors, Sanata, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. That consciousness is also the abode of the truth and transcendental knowledge. Brahma is completely fixed in his absorption and his conviction that who is that personality from whom everything emanates within the world, and everything that is being conducted is actually represented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his diverse energies. And therefore, he has no hesitation to submit himself at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And also, he is encouraging through his prayers, and therefore his remembrance upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always undeviated. Then text 13 to 16. Aham bhavan bhavaschaiva taime munayo graja surasura naranagaha khagamruga sarispruha Gandharvapsaro yaksha raksho bhuta ganoraga pashavah pitaraha siddha vidyadharas charanadrumaha anye cha vividha jiva jalasthala nabhaukasha griharksha ketavastattaras taditastanahitanabaha sarvam purusha evedam Bhutam bhavyam bhavachaya tenedamavrutam vishvam vitastim adhististati. So explaining, he says, beginning from me, Brahma, down to you and Bhava, Shiva, all the great sages who were born before you, the demigods, the demons, the nagas, the human beings, the birds, the beasts, the reptiles, etc., as well as all the phenomenal manifestations of the universes, namely the planets, stars, asteroids, luminaries, lightning, and thunder, along with the inhabitants of the different planetary systems, namely the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutaganas, Uragas, Pashus, Pitas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and all of the different varieties of living entities, including the birds, bees, trees, and everything that be, all are covered by the universal form of the Lord at all times, namely past, present, and future. Although he is the transcendental to all of them, eternally existing in a form not exceeding 9 inches. So this is very interesting, how the Supreme Lord, in his form not exceeding 9 inches, can contain Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narada, and previously to his appearance, the 4 elder brothers, Kumaras. Then everyone within this universe, demigods, demons, and all the different species that exist in all the different lokas. Isn't this very astonishing? Just the Lord's, as being Brahma, saying that he's just 9 inches. So this is very, very interesting to know that how the Lord simultaneously can exist in his very expansive form and also exist in his very minuscule form, and yet within that minuscule form he can also bind the entire cosmic manifestation. And therefore, to understand about the Supreme Lord and his manifestations and the different energies becomes an essential subject matter for one who is very inquisitive, jigyasu. So going further on to this, the description says that the 4 Kumaras and Lord Shiva, as well as the entire set of all the different devas who are the universal officers, they all are nothing but the manifestation of the diversified energies of the Supreme Lord. Each of them represents different functions, and each of them have a particular role in the universal affairs. Therefore, Brahma, being fully cognizant of this, he thus speaks to Narada, his dearest son, in terms of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 3 modes of material nature within this universe covers from the lowest species to the highest form of humans and beyond. All of them are but under the direct supervision and control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is not a single created being or the created gross manifestation which does not possess the influence or the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when we see the gross manifestations, we must inquire and we must understand and draw a relationship. How is that manifested representation is connected to the Supreme Lord? Such an inquiry brings about the real understanding. And secondly, it brings about the appreciation of the God's supreme creation. And thirdly, it helps us to become submissive, understanding that how insignificant that we are in this universe. But the Lord, simply for our sake, has created these facilities so that we can appreciate his greatness and get back to him as soon as possible. So if we break down this entire chapter specifically and draw the parallels of what we hear from the Rig Veda, the Purusha Sukta, and what is being confirmed here by Brahma is given as a parallels for us to understand. So some of the verses of the Rig Veda are spoken by Lord Brahma here in this particular chapter. What is that which was conveyed in the Rig Veda and what is exactly the same parallels that has been drawn here would be discussed also in a short while. But just first, a little overview of what is this chapter going to discuss upon. It consists of about 46 verses, and within this 46 verses, the first 17 verses describe the Lord's subtle sense organ, tanmatras, and the element. Tanmatras refer to the object of senses. Then 18 to 22 describe, also between the 17 we see the Lord's gross sense organs, sense devatas, that means the deities who control them. Subtle sense organs refer to the antahkaranas, and Virata Rupa, the universal form, and then finally the empowerment of the Jiva. Then 18 to 22 discuss about the qualifications to enter the spiritual world, because the subject matter is also related to both the material and the spiritual creations. Then 23 to 30 describes the birth of Brahma and acquiring things for sacrifice. 31 to 33 describe the Lord's empowerment, and therefore Brahma becomes the creator. 34 to 38 describes why should one believe Brahma's words. Is it a fiction or is it some kind of a mundane concoction? So here is the proof. He holds Krishna in his heart. Though he cannot understand Lord fully, he glorifies. And this is good enough for a devotee who is inclined to accept Brahma's version. Then 39 to 46, Brahma's description of Karanodasai Vishnu, in which qualities omnipotent and omnipresent personality of Vishnu is spoken. Then knowing him by controlling mind and the senses, and his zone of control everywhere, and his potency are described. So that is the subject matter. And giving you a little brief of what we see, usually the Purusha Sukta prayers are chanted during any kind of auspicious activities that one may perform in the Vaishnava tradition, be it a Griha Pravesha, Namakarana ceremonies, or wedding ceremonies, and even at the temple, installing the deities at all such aspects, or even celebrations of any of the festivals, Purusha Sukta is invoked. And we see here the Purusha Sukta, the first verse, Sahasra Shirusha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. So from the left verses, what you see here, the corresponding color, whatever you see, is also seen here in the 6th chapter with the same color. And therefore you can see the parallels that is actually going on. For example, Sahasra Sirusha Purushaha, Sahasra Aksha, Sahasrapat. This one is seen here as Sahasrorva Angri Bhava Kashaha, Sahasranana Sirshavan. Brahma is speaking. Sabhumim Vishvato Vrutva Atyadistad Dashangulam. So this one is not directly spoken in that order. Purusha evedam sarvam yad bhutam yacha bhavyam. So here, sarvam purusha evedam bhutam bhavyam bhavachatat. You can see that. So likewise, the comparisons are made. But in general, to understand what is the meaning of this Purusha Sukta, that Purusha pierced the universe and went outside. Sahasra Shirusha Purusha Sahasra. Sa eva Purusha Tasmat Andam Nirbhidya Nirgataha. So the meanings are referring to the verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam chapters and not directly from the Rig Veda. But in essence, they convey the same. There he resides with 1,000 legs, feet, arms, eyes, face, and heads. All these are only the Lord. Whatever existed in the past exists in the present, and whatever will exist in the future is covered with the Lord. He extends beyond the universe by 10 fingers. That's about 9 inches. O Brahmana, he is the Lord of spiritual bliss beyond material existence because he surpasses material happiness. The power of the Supreme Lord is unlimited. The wise know that the living beings are situated within the portions designated by the Lord, whose feet protect all places, eternity, absence and sickness, and absence of the fear. Committing offenses are fixed in the spiritual world above the 3 gunas. So this Purusha Sukta gives us an opportunity not only to understand the material world, which is manifest, and also that which is unmanifest, and beyond, which is the spiritual world. So it gives us an idea about all of these. And here within the material manifest world, first let me describe to you about the Ekapada and Tripada Vibhutis. Ekapada means 1/4 of the creation. Tripada means the 3/4 of the creation. Together it is called as creation, and that creation consists of material and spiritual. Ekapada means material, Tripada means that of spiritual. So he's just not the Lord of the material world, but he's also the Lord of the spiritual bliss. It is difficult to measure the glories of the Lord. Brahma accounts to this. And within this material world, there is birth and death cycle. And whereas in the spiritual world, it is
Prabhu,
absent.
sound is not there, bro.
Is it the case for all of you?
We are not-
It's clear.
It's okay, Prabhuji. It's fine.
Thank you. So the one who is not able to hear may kindly adjust his audio settings. And in the Ekapada, there are people who stay here, who basically, Grihamedis means attached to sense gratification. Then Abhrudavratas means those who Brihadvrata. Brihadvrata means who have severe penances, who perform severe penances. But Abhrudavratas means those who have no tapasya at all. They do not do any kind of an activity for spiritual progress. Whereas in the Tripada, Aprajanam no, there is no birth. They do not have any such kind of a birth. But at the same time, in this material world, there is every opportunity for one to perform Brihadvrata. Brihadvrata means become severely intensifying kind of tapasyas. There is an opportunity for it. But people in general are not taking advantage. Then Lord's inclination, he is not inclined towards any activities in this material world. But whereas in the spiritual world, he is fully inclined, he is more inclined. And the nature of the souls in the material world wants to lord it over the material nature. Whereas in the spiritual world, they want to perform devotional service. Is fear present in the material world? Fully present. And whereas in the material world, it is absent. In the spiritual world, it is absent. Then in the forgetfulness, yes, in the material world, it is present as avidya. And in the spiritual world, there is no forgetfulness because there is a full awareness of the Chit Shakti of the Lord. Then the souls are very less within this material world, and whereas innumerable in the spiritual world. And the manifestation of the energy, Sandhini Shakti, is only 1/4 in the material world, whereas the Tripada Vibhuti has 3/4 manifested in the spiritual world. And the Satchidananda experience, eternal bliss, eternal eternity, and eternal knowledge is a very, very shadow. It's only just a semblance. It is not realized in full. Whereas in the spiritual world, it is fully manifested. So within the material world, the Lord's empowerment, say for example, we have eyes. So eyes is a gross organ, avyaya. It is called as avayava. And then the subtle aspect of it is called as chakshu, which is actually referring to vision. And the gross manifestation is called as akshini. And the devata who controls them are the surya. And the sense object for us to see any form is represented by the sense object. And the element which represents that is the fire. So just if you are seeing anything, there is so much of mechanism. There is so much of an order behind that. This is how one should appreciate it. And since Brahma is the creator, every day he has to deal with all of these different arrangements. Therefore, he is fully cognizant of how this creation goes upon. So once we were also Brahmas. Do you know this? Don't ask me how many headed Brahma you were. And not about me also. I also don't know how many headed Brahma I was. But now I have only one head on my shoulder and suddenly I am not Brahma. So therefore, this transcendental knowledge which was available to the Brahma is not available for us at the moment. Or in other words to say, even though we had the opportunity of being as a Brahma, we did not utilize this. And therefore, we gradually fell down from that level and that opportunity. And therefore, we are struggling very hard in this material world. Further going on, let me share the screen with you as what this section discusses about. We are primarily focusing on the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, from whose navel Lord Brahma appears. So this stuti, what we see as Purusha Sukta, and what is being confirmed here by Lord Brahma is about the energies that is diversifiedly used or engaged by Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. And it is interesting to know the various aspects within the universe and how they become energized. We must know that within this creation, there are three Vishnus who conduct this entire activities. Mahavishnu, who lies down on the causal ocean, and from his each and every single pore comes billions and billions of universes. And to energize this universe, he himself enters into each of those universes and then further conducts the business. When he enters into a single universe, within that universe, he is called as Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Garbha means embryo, and Garbha Udaka means the waters of the embryo. And Vishnu is one who is all pervading. Sai refers to one who lies down on the waters. So it appears that Lord Vishnu is very closely associated with water or fluid or liquid. Therefore, his mercy also flows. This is how we should understand. Mercy is not ghana. Mercy is called flow. So flow means which can inundate. If there is ghana or a solid state, there is no question of inundation. But whereas when there is liquefied form, it is mercy and therefore it inundates. In the Kali Yuga, the same mercy, the liquid form, is available through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Sankirtana. Therefore, Sankirtana flows into this entire creation. So this flowing activity is very interesting. Without such type of a nature, we cannot see or we cannot perceive the various actions that is conducted in this material universe. So the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu conducts certain activities, and from his navel, one of the activities that he does is to create Lord Brahma and empowering him further to conduct the business within the created universe. So that Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu further again expands into Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, and there afterwards he enters into each and every created body, and he there exists as the super soul or the witness. And further, there is so many things that he does there. So we will try to discuss that. So what we are focusing is on the supreme power of the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. So far, are there any questions? Or are you able to flow along with what I'm describing? Are you able to comprehend? So if there are no questions, means you are in the forest of Naimisharanya, because you are hearing directly from the lotus mouth of Sutta Goswami. So you are empowered beings. Okay, I would like to conduct my service furthermore and try to share and describe something more from today's session. So we discussed about the few slides here. So going back to the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. So Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, how does he create and what is his manifestations and how does he energize is an interesting subject matter.
which was the inquiry by Narada, and Lord Brahma was explaining, not only you, me, and Lord Shiva, and the Kumaras, and all the different empowered personalities within this universe are actually representations of the Supreme Lord, and who empowers them with different kinds of energies. There, he also referred that within this creation, am I missing any slide here? Just let me quickly refer to you and then come back. Just give me a moment, please. I think I put the slide a little before. Okay. So this is the concept of the universal form generally we discuss about. In the Bhagavad Gita, we see the Lord showing this universal form. And about the universal form, there are many occasions when he has shown the universal form. So there are personal manifestations and there is gross manifestation. The gross manifestations remains in this material world as long as the lifespan of that particular universe is existing. But the personal manifestations of the universal form is meant for a particular occasion. Like this manifestation of the universal form that you're seeing on the screen on the left side is meant for giving Arjuna an opportunity to understand how at one place he could see the different personalities who were in charge of the universal affairs and what was their empowerment and the duties. But what we are speaking in the Bhagavatam here, especially in the Purusha Sukta prayers, is not about this universal form. We are speaking about the gross manifested universe, which has different planetary systems, which has different living entities, and they live according to different kinds of consciousness. There are different elements which constitute for the creation of this gross manifestation. And is the Lord present there? And if so, how is his empowerment to be understood? How do we understand that? That is the discussion of the subject matter today. So we also have another concept that the Lord's universal form extends not only in the different planetary system and within the planetary system to a very exclusive area, which is called as the luminaries also. How the different luminaries were situated above the earthly abode and in between the abode of great sages and certainly above the lower planetary system, there is this luminaries, such as normally whom we understand to be as the Navagrahas, beginning from Rahu, Ketu, then Surya, Chandra, Shukra, Buddha, Mangla, Brihaspati, and Shani. So are these luminaries also part of the creation, or are they independently empowered? Brahma says even them are all part of this universal affairs whom Lord differently empowers them. Generally, for people who focus on the universal form, they attribute that everything that is created is within that form, just which is resembling something like a human form, which has a feet, which has navels, which has a shank, which has leg, which has abdomen, chest, neck, and the face, and the eyes, and the mouth, and the ears, and the head, and so on. So there is a description like this given by Brahma, trying to make an opportunity. He just doesn't only simply describe, but he also takes this as an opportunity to meditate and glorify. Why? Because some people have an inclination. Instead of seeing the gross manifestation, they want to also see that gross manifestation within a particular personal form. Like when you see a person has all these different bodily parts. So within those bodily parts, they want to place the different gross manifested creation. For example, to say the lower planetary systems, such as the Patala, Rasatala, Mahatala planets. They are situated on the lower limbs, such as the feet, and below the feet. And some are situated on the shanks, some are situated on the calves, and some are situated on the knees, then the thighs, and then the conjunction between the thighs and the abdomen, then on the abdomen itself, then on the upper part of the abdomen, then on the chest, then on the neck, and so on. So that description is being explained by Lord Brahma. And therefore, for those who do not want to accept the transcendental form of the Lord directly, they are encouraged at the beginning, you can actually meditate upon the Supreme Lord with these different aspects. And therefore, if you are thinking or if you are understanding there is some power to move, the power to move comes by when you use your hands. So is your hand, how is your hand empowered? The hand is empowered to move because of the Devata, such as Indra. So Indra, how does he get this power? Because the Lord empowers him. So which form of the Lord? This universal form of the Lord. So what does this universal form of the Lord empower Indra with? Because this universal form has a hand, and when that hand moves, then remotely it makes the Indra's hand move. So when the Indra's hand move, you as a living entity also are able to move. So this is the connection. So the supreme motor means movements. The supreme movements are available in this universal form, and that power is distributed in the various channels. Just like the powerhouse generates certain megawatts of power, but at your home, you have a very small, tiny bulb, which gives you certain limited wattages. So likewise, we are representing a very limited wattage, but the Supreme Lord is the powerhouse. And there are transmission agencies, such as a power generating generator house, and there are cables, and there are switching boards. So different locations. So likewise, these different devatas are empowered to take up that particular representations. So this is being described by Lord Brahma, so that Narada need not be confused that, for example, to say, I can't see Indra. So can I simply say that I am moving my hand on my own? Though it apparently appears like this, at my will I am trying to move. But actually that empowerment is coming because, just like, for example, you can switch on the bulb, you can switch off the bulb, you can brighten the bulb, you can reduce the bulb. But what is making it? There is a device by which you are able to do this. So the device has a control. And what is that device doing independently? No, it is further controlled with something else. So likewise, when you see a gross manifestation, if your intelligence is able to connect to that supremely subtle power, then you become self-realized. This is what Brahma is explaining to Narada in a very simple, logical manner. So that Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, here in this chart you see that there is Mahavishnu, from whose pores comes billions of universes, and the same Mahavishnu enters into one of these golden laid eggs, such as a universal universe, and he enters there and rests. And from his navel comes a golden lotus, on the top of which is Lord Brahma. And in the same universe, that single universe, is the Lord again appearing as Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, as you see here. So that Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, as you see here, also has certain functions. So what are these different functions? Lord Mahavishnu, he is the provider. He is the provider of everything within this universes, all the universes. Then Garbhodakasaya Vishnu is subtle energizer. He energizes the Chit Shakti of the living entities, and primarily represented by Lord Brahma. Therefore, intelligence to use and to create is being given by Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, to Brahma, and the same potency of creation and creative intelligence is further distributed by Lord Brahma. Then after that intelligence is done, say for example, a body has been created, and the body has to have certain mechanical functioning. So that activity is given by Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Therefore, each and every limb within a particular living entity is energized to do an activity through the prana or the living force through Kshirodakasai Vishnu. And therefore, different yogic practices, different meditational processes are all the opportunity by which Kshirodakasai Vishnu empowers every living entity according to his inclinations. So the three forms of Vishnu are actually one, but they are representing according to the different requirements in the different zones. But all of them are still plenary parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So that is being the connection which Brahma brings in to make Narada understand as who is the Supreme Creator and who is Yacha, how he is represented. Another aspect that we see here in this chart is that different planetary systems which are created by the Supreme Lord are inhabited by giving different bodies from Brahma. And also each of these living entities who are created within the particular loka or the planetary system also have the same material elements, such as the earth, water, then fire, air, sound, and then false ego, so on. So this is another aspect that is being discussed here in this section. Therefore, this universal form is an aspect for meditation. From his lowest part of the feet is the Patala, and the upper part of the feet is Rasatala, and between the calves and the lower heel is Mahatala, then Talatala, Sutala, Vitala, Atala, the lower planetary systems. Then Bhurloka is around his thighs. Then along the other upper parts of his body are the Bhurloka, Swarga, Maharjana, and Tapa. So Brahma says this is how one can actually meditate upon. And such meditation is authorized. Sukadeva Goswami narrates that meditation which is given by Brahma. So it is an authorized meditation, even though this form. So now I'm going to describe to you how is this form. Is this real form or is it only an imaginary form? In the 2.125, initially, when Suta Goswami is explaining to Maharaj Parikshit, he said, the gigantical universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universe, universal shell, as what you saw, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virata conception. It's a concept. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary system. So in the chest part is the luminaries. His neck is the Mahar, his mouth is the Jana, and his forehead is the Tapa planet. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of him, who has 1,000 heads. So there, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sahasra Shirusha Purusha. Therefore, he is worshipped in the Brahma Loka. Every day, Lord Brahma worships this Supreme Personality in this universal form, who has thousands of heads. The knees of the universal form are the planetary system of the name Sutala. The two thighs are the Vitala and Atala. And further down, you can see the Mahatala planets. Persons who have realized it have studied that the planets known as Patala constitute the bottoms of the feet of the universal Lord, and the heels and the lotus toes are the Rasatala planets, the ankles are the Mahatala planets, and his shanks constitute the Talatala planets. So in a very authoritative manner, Lord Brahma describes the inquiry made by Narada that how the Supreme Lord having understood that aspect, is represented through different manifestations. If you are empowered to see a universe, within the universe there are descriptions of the different planetary system. How are these different planetary systems connected to the universal form of the Lord? So here we should also understand that when the Lord desired to create and empower Lord Brahma to further continue his creation, the creation done by Brahma is called as Visarga, following in the line of Sarga, which is the original creation done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is referred here as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he placed within the lotus stem of from coming out from his navel, the different planetary systems. They are all located at the different levels. And having located them at different levels, he wanted to energize them. In order to energize them, to make Brahma accessible for that energy, he himself again appears in his universal form called as the Purusha, Virata Purusha. So this Virata Purusha form is like a remote control or a kind of a form through which Lord Brahma can derive the required ingredients and also derive the required energy to manifest those ingredients to perform its designated functions. Therefore, when the descriptions goes on to say, furthermore in this chapter, if you see, the descriptions goes on to say how Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu empowers this universal form, Virata Rupa. So when we are talking about the Virata Rupa, we are talking about this form. Or in the previous slide, we are talking about this form. So when Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu wants to feed the living entities with food, then he opens the mouth. When he opens the mouth, this universal form of the Lord opens the mouth, and therefore hunger manifests. And when he opens the mouth, along with that, the tongue manifests, the upper palate manifests, as well as the different deities who control the hunger manifest. So all of them, they reside within this universal form. And therefore, the Supreme Lord has a complete control of everything that is being created. So these are the descriptions that are given by Brahma to Narada. So within this universal form, as we see here, there are different lokas. So they are gross manifestations. And these gross manifestations represent different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord in his Garbhodaka Sai feature. So that was described, just like the Rasatala, Pathala lokas are representing the lotus feet of the Lord. So that was the simple narration that I had today for you. If you have any questions, anything, you are most welcome.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Always, it's so nice to see all your presentations, actually. Keeps us focused. Yeah, I would like to hear sometime later about the last slide you have shown from Prabhuji. Just now you have shown about, just if you can show that slide, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Yeah, the 21st slide. So this particular slide and the planetary system, that Bhuloka here, is a disk.
Yeah.
Is it the same, our Earth here, Prabhu? Or it is Bhumandala? I am confused between Bhumandala and Bhuloka, these two terminologies.
Generally, in the Bhagavatam language, these words are interchanged. They have a context in which they are being spoken. You also hear the word Bhuloka, Bhugola, Bhumandala, and so on, or Bhumi for that matter to say. So each of them have a particular context. So we are discussing here, according to the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that the Bhumandala, mandala means which is circular in shape. So Loka refers to a planetary system. So Bhuloka refers to the earthly realm. And Bhumandala refers to the akara, the shape of how this Bhuloka is situated. Within the Bhuloka, there are different dvipas. These dvipas were created by the great Priyavrata Maharaj, who was the son of Swayambhuva Manu, the elder son of Swayambhuva Manu. And then he gave away these dvipas to his sons. And the central part of this Bhumandala is the Jambudvipa. Within the Jambudvipa, there are 9 varshas. And onto the southern part of this 9 varshas is the Bharatvarsha. And within the Bharatvarsha, there are different khandas. Khandas means segments. So in that, there are 9 khandas, out of which there is one khanda, which is called as Bharata Khanda. And so what we generally see as the map of the world, that is called Bharata Khanda. That is not Bharatvarsha. That is not Bhuloka. That is not the Bhumandala. So this Bharata Khanda is a very insignificant, tiny portion of the Bhuloka or the Bhumandala that is described in the chapter. Does it help you? Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are there any Kripalu? Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Prabhuji, such a wonderful class, Prabhuji, very scientific. So we have heard so many times about this, but still it is not going into our head actually. It is good to have refreshing course like this. Prabhuji, I have one silly question. You know, when we see this Bhumandala, like, you know, Garbhodaka ocean, there is Ananta Shesha who's holding this universe. So when we were small, we used to hear a story from our grandmother and all. So when Ananta Shesha shakes, means when he is tired or something, he shakes his head. So that time the earthquake happens. Is that so?
Ask your grandma.
Grandma is
The
not
answer
there.
is that maybe she has experienced Ananta Sesha shaking, and therefore she's telling you this nice story. Yeah, there are many reasons, and we need to understand nothing is occurring in this material world without the intervention or the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, either directly or indirectly or through his empowered energies or agencies. And there are many kinds of cosmic occurrences. So this earthquake is just one kind of an occurrence. You can see the the asteroids falling on the earth and making a huge valley. You have the comets flying in the sky, and you have stars illuminated, and you can see the oceans rising their level. All of these things are happening in this creation, and all of them have a reason, and all of them are influenced by different powers which are governing this universal affairs. And so a devotee is not so much afraid or so much concerned whether the level of the ocean is increasing or the asteroid is falling or the comets are flying in the sky. He is more interested to glorify. Just like a child, he is more interested to see the movie. He's not interested to see like who made the movie and where he did the shooting and so on. Because the devotee, the child is very simple in his heart. And whereas Brahma is like a complicated technician, he has to arrange so many things, like how all these things are, coordinated. So Brahma's intelligence is different, and a simple living entity's intelligence is different. Therefore, Brahma, when he's speaking to Narada, Narada is representing the childish mentality. And therefore, he is asking his father, how do you do all these things? What is actually going on? That's a simple language that he's expressing it. So Narada says, Brahma says that whatever is actually happening, you should always connect it that it is actually happening through the will of the Supreme Lord. Why? Because you will never lose focus, and you will also get an opportunity to get connected and always stay connected. That's the focus. So Brahma does not simply attribute to himself that, oh yes, of course, I only do all these things, I only empower, I only tell all the different devas to do different kinds of things. He doesn't say that. He says that even if I have to do something, that actually comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a connection he actually says. So these occurrences of these cosmic wonders that we are referring to occurs because at every moment there are different kinds of corrections going on, which we are not able to actually assimilate or understand. And they all have different kinds of effects on us. So some of the effects could be understood when you are keen to know about astrology and astronomy. So that's another science which is available in the Vedas. But Srimad Bhagavatam simply tries to focus that whatever happens in this universe, that happens according to the will and the desire of the Lord. So that inquiry is only on one part. But the most important inquiry is, how can I love the Supreme Lord? Until and unless one comes to that particular platform, all other inquiries are not going to be fruitful. When you are making the inquiry that my Lord can move anything from anywhere, though he is unmoved, that kind of a glory brings in a real love and affection within the hearts of the devotee. So that's a kind of inspiration.
Thank you, Guru. Correct.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ramakrishna. Well explained. And I think you're right. Everything happens for the will of the Lord. That's childishness that we should always exhibit. Sometimes I always see our Prabhupada disciples like, Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, in the most complicated places that you go, or even the simplest places, he's like a child, he immediately connects. He doesn't bother about any corona or anything like that. I was asked, he wanted to come to Dubai, and I asked Maharaj, are you vaccinated? And he's replying, I'm Krishna vaccinated.
Yeah. Very interesting. So thank you, Radhava Prabhuji, for giving me this opportunity to try and share some insights with whatever little intelligence I tried to understand. Though this particular...
You didn't share the full thing. You didn't share the goodies that you brought from the dhams, the prasadam. That's the most enticing for us. Where is that?
Certainly, today evening when we meet, we will definitely do that, Prabhuji. And certainly, this subject matter, especially discussing about the Purusha Suktas, these aspects of creation, is very, very intriguing. And therefore, it needs repeated attention, repeated reading, and explanations from someone who is better understood. Therefore, the inquisitiveness can grow in. So Srimad Bhagavatam provides us an opportunity to inquire, Brahma Jigyasa. So I request all the assembled Vaishnavas to continue your Brahma Jigyasa and serve Srimad Bhagavatam in that same mode. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Upasthita Gaur Bhakta vrinda ki jai, Nithai Gaur Sitanatha Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much again, Ramakrishna Prabhu. A big Hare Krishna mantra for you and all the family members from all of us in Shamalesh for your good health and spiritual progress. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.